Hi guys, it's Miss Humphrey back with another math video. Today's lesson is very vocabulary heavy. We are going to be learning a ton of new words when it comes to polygons. So what I have done is I have uploaded all of the words and all of the vocab words we've practiced earlier this week onto Quizlet for you to study with flashcards. Tomorrow at noon, instead of teaching a lesson, I am going to be hosting a Quizlet Live. I will post the Quizlet Live code onto our Google Classroom, and I'm hoping that everybody at noon at 12 o'clock will be able to get on their phones or computers and play a Quizlet Live with our class. So make sure between now and tomorrow you are studying these words so that you can play in a team on Quizlet Live tomorrow. Let's get right into it. I'm going to be honest, this topic is really difficult. It's hard for me to teach, and when I was your age, I remember it being hard to learn. But let's all have a growth mindset. We have the time, we're at home. Let's study it, let's learn it, and let's do it together. So let's get started. I've made this visual that I'm hoping is going to help us in our understanding of polygons. So let's walk through this first, and then I will show you examples of each of the words. Only the green underlined words are new to us today. All of the other words we have learned before, we are just putting them in the context to help us learn these new words. So let's start at the very top. Shapes that are made with lines are called polygons. We already knew that. And if you didn't, that's okay. Today is a time to review it. Shapes made with lines are polygons. Then polygons can be broken into two categories. They can be made with 3 lines, which we call a triangle, or made with 4 lines, which we call a quadrilateral. We have already talked about triangles, and that's not our topic for today, but we can review that the triangles we know about are acute, right, and obtuse. So this is something we talked about earlier this week. Today we are focusing on quadrilaterals. So as we go down quadrilaterals, we have two options. We have quadrilaterals that have one pair of parallel lines, or we have quadrilaterals with 2 pairs of parallel sides. If it has one set of parallel sides, it is a trapezoid. I'm going to show you an example of a trapezoid. This is a trapezoid. Do you see that the top and the bottom lines are parallel to each other? But the 2 lines on the side are not parallel. They are heading in opposite directions. They would eventually hit each other in the bottom area. But those top and bottom lines are parallel. Because it only has one set of parallel lines, we call it a trapezoid. If it were to have 2 sets of parallel lines, we would call it a parallelogram. Say trapezoid. Sorry, I should have had you do that. Say parallelogram. I want to make sure you're practicing it, pronouncing those words. Trapezoid. And now we're talking about parallelograms. Parallelograms have 2 pairs of parallel lines. So if we look here, the top and the bottom are parallel to each other, and both sides are also parallel to each other. I'm going to set down my board for a second so we can compare a trapezoid and a parallelogram. Look at this. Take note of what differences you notice. Remember, the only difference, these are both polygons. They're both, because they are shapes made with lines. They're both quadrilaterals because they both have 4 sides. But this is a trapezoid because it only has 2 parallel lines. And this is a parallelogram because it has 2 pairs of parallel lines. See, I told you this is a little tricky. Trapezoids end there. Done. But our parallelograms can be classified even further. We have parallelograms that have 4 equal sides, which we call a rhombus. Do you see how this rhombus, each of its sides are the exact same length? That's what makes this a rhombus. Or it could have 4 right angles, and we call that a rectangle. So both of these are parallelograms because they have two sets of parallel lines. Do you see the top and the bottom are parallel and both sides are parallel? And same with this one. All sides, we have two sets of parallel lines. So these are both parallelograms, but this one has all equal length sides, which is how we got to this path here. And this one has 4 right angles. But if we combine both, if it's a shape that has equal sides and all right angles, think, what could it be? What shape do we know that has equal sides and all right angles? It is a square. It has parallel lines on both sides. It has all right angles, and all of the sides are the same length. So a square is a polygon, a quadrilateral, a parallelogram, a rhombus, and a rectangle. It's all of those things, and we call it a square. So what you're going to do today in your Google form is I'm going to hold this board up, and I want you to screenshot it. I will also post it on Google Classroom. And you're going to use these paths to help you identify polygons and quadrilaterals. Again, tomorrow at noon, we are going to do a Quizlet Live. So make sure you study your words on Quizlet and join us live tomorrow at noon. Can't wait to play with you guys. See ya!